Hello, Cherries fans, and welcome to Back of the Net, whether you're listening on the audio pod or you're watching on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining us as we take a second look at AFC Bournemouth's 1-0 win against Liverpool. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
How you doing, Tom?
Good very
weekend.
Well, mate.
Good weekend, wasn't it?
Amazing, yeah. Nice to be all chirpy, isn't it? For a change, but yeah, I mean, it was the perfect weekend in terms of what we saw on the pitch, mate. So yeah, absolutely buzzing.
Hello to all new subscribers on YouTube. Got to say, whether you're Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, or new Bournemouth fans that are joining the Back of the Net revolution, well, thanks so much. And that was a weekend that took us by surprise. I'm really chuffed with how it went, mate. Before the game, I honestly didn't expect anything from it. I honestly thought these are 3 free hits, and it turned out that we managed to get 3 points off of one of them.
Yeah, it's a weird one for you and I, mate, because I remember the Wolves game, obviously the last game we won before this, and I wasn't confident, and you were going, I've got a feeling, and then we won, and then this time round you weren't confident, and I had a feeling. So as long as one of us do, mate, it's all right. But yeah, obviously, regardless of what I thought, it was going to be a difficult game. They just won 7-0, you know, Liverpool are top side, and we've only beaten them once before at home, but I don't know, there was obviously it materialised in a good way for us, but I just felt that if we played the right way, if we were a bit braver, that kind of pace we've now got, particularly in transitions and on the break, and the way they like to get high up the pitch, I did feel we'd have some moments, but I didn't expect a clean sheet. I did still think they would maybe have too much quality going forward, but to be fair to us, we rode our luck for a very small period, I'd say, but yeah, we've earned that. We've definitely earned that of late.
Feels quite a pivotal match. I mean, it could be a turning point for our season, and it's one that if we do manage to survive, we'd look back at it. I think I'm still in the we're more likely to get relegated camp, although some stats indicate that we might not be. However, I don't know, that's one that we could look back on, and I think Gary O'Neill, whilst he's learning on the job and has been making mistakes up to this point, maybe, I don't know, it's almost like he's coming of age a little bit with some of his decision making. You just want to see this happen in a few matches in a row to actually think, okay, we can trust him now. But look, let's take a look at the league table right now, and look, at 3 o'clock on Saturday, we were 16th in the Premier League. That catapulted us up the table. But then after the games on the Saturday afternoon, and then the evening, there we are. We're below the dotted line, but we're within touching distance, Tom, and that's what we always just wanted after these 3 games.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it was Sunday when West Ham nicked a point off our next opponent's Villa. But really, they got a point which got them above us, and there was Southampton nicked a point, but we got 3, so we still gained 2 points of them. I know, we're still in that bottom. It's weird, really. We go out of the drop zone because we beat Liverpool, but we're probably back in it because we lost 9-0 to Liverpool because it's goal difference. Is what it is. But yeah, mate, you got to take confidence from that. There was, the teams are in and around us are picking up these points now and again. A lot of teams did. So it was crucial. We've been saying for a few weeks that in one of these games we're expected not to. We need to cause a little bit of a shock. And 3 points was absolutely massive because we were very close to that the week before.
Nice for an English manager to get a win over Jurgen Klopp. Do you remember who the last one was?
I do. I did hear that stat. Yeah, Super Scotty Parker. Yeah, that's mad, that, isn't it? But I've heard that one.
That was the win for Fulham, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was, and I think that might be the 1-0 as well.
It was, yeah, and that was at Anfield, I think, as well.
Yeah, very impressive. Yeah, he's got a mixed record at Anfield then. But yeah, and also good to see him finally get a win for club. Oh no, they did win, but.
He's no longer there. We'll park that conversation. Right, here's the baseline tracker table. And we gain points when... It does, doesn't it? Look at that. -3. So West Ham, Saints, Everton. And this is where if you get points on the road or get points against the top 6, then it will affect your position in a positive manner. Whereas if you drop points at home, then you'll go down. And look, we're 3 points below where we should be, but it's not too bad, is it? Certainly better compared to previous weekends. And I was just saying to you just before we came on air, Tom, that I didn't feel that was a lucky win. Yes, we can talk about the Mo Salah penalty. The match against Wolves at Molineux, that felt lucky in some ways. Yeah. We had very minimal chances. It was quite a smash and grab. Whereas this was a controlled taking apart of Liverpool. Taking apart. It was a control victory.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I think you can look at stats, but you've got to take them with a pinch of salt sometimes, because I think everyone's saying obviously it was live on the telly, so a lot of people were saying, and even Jurgen Klopp kind of saying that we probably deserved it.
Did he?
Yeah, because even though they had more shots, more possession, all that stuff, the actual chance in the game, penalty aside, I think we had the better chances and probably should have scored another. And don't want to do the old typical cliche, but it is fine margins because they had a spell, which I'm sure we'll get onto, and they missed them chances. And I said to you off air as well that the City game, we weren't horrific in that first half. We were 3-0 down at half time. Because that is Man City, and I think that's that little gulf now we've seen in these 3 games between City, Arsenal, and then Liverpool, and they've dropped. You've only got to drop slightly, and they're not quite as clinical at the moment. And we rode our luck a little bit, defended and got our bodies in the way of things. Big save from Neto, clearance off the line, and then we took our moment when we got it. And what was really impressive, as I say, I'm sure we'll get onto it, but was the way we managed this one, considering everyone knows how we've not managed being in the lead before against big boys. So that was what impressed me the most.
Do you remember at the start of the season on the YouTube channel where we were struggling for content during the close season, as we do, we were coming up with stupid ideas. Who's the manager that you'd most like to go out for a pint with? And Jurgen Klopp, I seem to remember, he's whiny, isn't he? He can be a bit whiny, but he was actually quite humble and paid a lot of praise to a person that I suppose he would have known.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Gary O'Neill did come to us initially because he was working with the Liverpool Academy, so sure a lot of the staff there would know him. And he was respectful after, to be fair, but I think he saw his team not perform to the levels they should, and saw a Bournemouth team that, considering where we are in the league and considering the last minute defeat of the week before, showed a lot of togetherness and, ironically, with what's been going on this weekend in terms of match of the day, a lot of solidarity within us, with a fan base, with the staff, and with the players on the pitch. It was really nice to see, and he obviously gave us credit for that.
Match of the day was weird, wasn't it? Match of the day was just so weird. It's funny. It got 500,000 more viewers than it does usually, but that's people just having a morbid curiosity of how are they going to cover this. I was surprised they didn't even have the commentators from the World feed on it. It was just nothing.
It was weird.
Wasn't sure about that at all.
It was odd, but we topped it, didn't we? We topped the bill. We were first on, which was typical, but it is back as normal.
Gary Lineker is back. So, what's the predicted final league position? Well, there's some Opta analyst stats that have been tweeted out by Chris Temple today, and it says that AFC Bournemouth have got a 54.2% chance of staying up now, 45.8% chance of going down. We were previously, of course, heavy favourites in this particular model to finish bottom. If you can make head nor tail of that, fair play to you. But there you can see the likeliness of getting relegated with both Leeds, Everton and Saints below us. I was convinced that we were relegated, mate, but according to the stats, we're not.
Yeah, I think what that is to do with, for sure, would be that, we haven't got to play Liverpool, and we also haven't got to play City or Arsenal, whereas most of them, if not all of them, have got to play one of them. So I think the fact that we've kind of got the better fixtures now, because we had the horrific run. Newcastle add into that as well, by the way. With Wolves in there, but we had Newcastle, City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So them stats are always going to be, they're going to lose all them, and we got 4 points. So that would have helped us. And I think I saw in certain bookmakers, it was the first time this season that we weren't the favourites to finish bottom. Now it's Southampton, who got a good point, but obviously the context of the game, they probably would have wanted to win it because of United going down to 10 men in the first half. But I think we've got. But I've been saying it week on week. We keep saying we've got this good run to come. We just got to get these out of the way. So now we've got to take advantage, mate, because there's no point of beating Liverpool if we then in these next 4 lose them all. You know what I mean? So but that's why them stats would say that, and that's why the predictions would say that. So let's kick on, mate.
It's the equivalent in darts. If you win against the leg, there's literally no point in it if you don't win your own leg.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Hopefully we can follow it up in the winnable games. I mean, we'll take a look at the running later on. I think, Tom, we probably should do a show maybe in a couple of weeks during the international break where we do the run-in, the fixture predictor. Do you remember the predictor show on Back of the Net? It's back, the home of the predictor. We'll bring that back and we'll go through every result and see what happens. Right, I don't know if you could have predicted the team lineup, but before we get on to that, 12:30s, mate. I hate 12:30 kickoffs. Horrible, isn't it?
Don't anymore. I'm on it now. But no, I'm not a massive fan, mate. Not a massive fan, just because, it kind of pulls you out of sync, doesn't it, really?
You have to get started really early, waking up really early and you're straight to football mode, whereas usually you get more, it's just...
And then it's after the game, you feel like it's 6 and it's 3 or whatever. And I think, God, why am I drunk at 3 o'clock? Do you know what I mean? But no, it's not my favourite, but we'll take it this time round and let's stop that horrible stat we've had on the telly and not be at 3 o'clock. So, But but it felt like it felt a bit odd. But yeah, as the teams come out, mate, I got 10 out of 11 on both teams.
You did, but
keep doing that.
Obviously, one of the big stories for Bournemouth is the return of David Brooks on the bench, mate. Over 525, I think 529 days or something it was. Since he's been in the squad, and amazing. That must have, for the whole squad, it must have just raised it for all of them, because having his name back, I don't know how likely he would have been to ever get on.
Gary did say that he was hoping if the game went as it would, that he would be able to get him on. But he said, but I agree with what he said and the way the game was going. It probably wasn't the right time. Whether that's the case or not, I'm not sure. We'll never know. But I just certainly felt. I can't remember who I was having a conversation with. We were saying the other week, when we had a couple of youngsters on the bench that were obviously never going to come on, and we had 2 goalkeepers on the bench.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
I thought, if Brooks is nearly there, don't you just whack him on just to get the crowd? But to be fair to Gary and the staff and the decisions they've made, it obviously has worked out. It was a really good time for it, because you're at home. It gets everyone up a bit, like you say, when his name's read out. I think it was quite clever that when the first lot warmed up, he went with them, and then he come out. We had another Matt Ritchie, Ryan Fraser moment where people started cheering because they thought, I can't remember who it was, they thought Christie was Brooks. But lovely lift, and it looks like he'll get on the pitch at some point, which is going to be really exciting.
Do you wonder what kind of player he's going to be?
Yeah, it will be
because just before. I mean, it's obviously hard to judge, but he wasn't in the best form, was he, at the start of the previous season?
No, I think
he did score at Forest, but I think just generally
got sent off. Yeah,
got sent off.
No, but I remember us all saying, obviously, this is before we knew the the situation. Was Brooksy? I remember that first period under Parker where we barely had any subs that we could really use. The only sub he ever made was Brooks off Sadie on early on, because Brooks, we kept thinking he can't seem to last 90, and obviously we now know why. Yeah. So we would have hoped, and I think it looks like they've been really careful with him. And they're obviously going to be talking to medical, because it's more what's the word? It's going to be more thorough than an injury because of the situation, and hopefully he's in a good place. But it's going to be really hard to bring him into games, because if maybe you in the Championship think, we could be leading 3-0 in a game and chuck him on, it's going to be difficult, and there's no cups and stuff like that. But what'll be interesting, I think, him or Stanislas, one of them, this is my little call, one of them is going to get a big goal this season. One of them's going to play a key part. It's going to be one of them, and we're going to go, mad. And maybe it'll be Brooksy, mate. But he's delighted to see him back involved, mate, to be fair. Just from a personal point of view, it's massive for him, isn't it?
Yeah, so looking at the team lineups then, hang on. 4 across the back.
Yeah.
A departure of the 5 at the back, and it's Meps that missed out. Senesi and Stevens, Smith at right back, no Jay-Z. Yeah. There's a conversation. Nice to see Lloyd Kelly back though, and then was it a 4-4-1-1?
Yeah, I'd say a 4-3-3. Yeah, kind of. However you want to look at it. Yeah, but it's always going to be more advanced.
So 4 at the back. What do you think of that? Obviously, masterstroke.
Yeah,
we've all been crying out for it for quite a while. Maybe it just felt like Liverpool were there to be got at.
Yeah, we have, and I don't want to use this show to kind of be like, we've said no 5, we lose both of 5, we go to 4 and we win. There you go, it's easy.
We know our stuff.
Yeah. Because I
mean we do. But.
Equally, I watched on Sunday. I watched the Arsenal Fulham game, and Fulham went through a 4 against Arsenal and got ripped apart in half hour. So it's not all down to, and it. My concern, just going into a little bit of the 5, I kind of don't mind a 5 if say Kelly's one of the 3, or say Lerma drops back in the play as a 3 as he has, or say Smith tucks into it as a 3. I don't mind it as much, because then players are flexible. Lerma would be flexible and moving in game. Smith and Kelly are quite flexible to playing fullback. Yeah. What we've done lately is it's been Stevens, Mepham and Celesi, who are all centre-backs, and they are centre-backs.
Yeah, that's what they do.
So there's no flexibility during the game. That's the 3 centre-halves that are just going to stay there. And that concerns me a little bit, because there's no flexibility. With this, with Lloyd Kelly being a fullback, he can tuck in if he wants. Yeah. Fine, we can go to a 3. And we probably did near the end, because you have to a little bit. And I'm not being funny, at times it was probably a 6, because of how the wingers were helping out. But it just gives you a little bit more fluidity, in my opinion. And I just felt that what's caused us problems in the last couple of games is midfield have bossed us, because we've had one less player in there.
Yeah.
And and it's just, you've seen that with the possession stats. I mean, it's just been, we can't get near them. And in this game, I felt the key to this game was we beat them in the midfield. We battered them. They took off Harvey Elliott at half time because they couldn't cope, and Henderson come on to give them more control. Fabinho couldn't cope, and I thought Rothwell, Lerma and Billing were absolutely immense, and that they could not cope with us in midfield. And That's what we're saying against these sort of teams. I just thought when we've done it in the other 2 games, we broke well with pace. That's been no different. But we've got an extra body up there, and Billing can allow to get further forward. And it worked a treat, mate. And I'm so glad he implemented it in this game.
I was reading something on Twitter, like 90 Min or something, saying that West Ham are front runners for Jordan Zamura's signature. There's contract wranglings, contract talks, and as a result, he wasn't in the squad, which we all thought he was injured, but obviously wasn't the case. You'll see that on the vlog. And just as we were walking from the Queen's Park Cafe to Dean Court, I think it was Alex Crook or someone on TalkSport, Sam Matface or someone, saying that it's all down towards the talks. Is that the right thing to do? Is that almost blackmail? I mean, the guy's under contract.
I think. I mean, obviously we don't know this, and I'm sure we'll hear more. I personally think it was. We've maybe tried to open talks a little bit more, and it hasn't been going the way before. Kelly's back. He might have even thought it's a good game for Kelly anyway against Salah. Vigna was back. I think he thought, if we're going to make a statement now to say to Jay-Z, you need to sign this contract. It's now, because we've got options there, and this is a game we could do it. That's what I'd like to think. But because has it really changed that much in the case in the week? Probably not. It's probably more we've got some options back there. Listen, I'm hoping that we get it all sorted, because regardless of the fact in isolation in one game we look like we'll be fine without Jay-Z. He's a great player, he's a young player, and we need to get him nailed down, mate. So, but there's got to be something going on, because Jefferson Lerma's playing week in, week out, and he obviously hasn't signed a contract, so there's obviously a difference in that. But we'll wait and see. You don't know if it's money, you don't know if he's keeping his option open, you don't know if it's agents dealing with everything, not sure. But maybe we felt as a club at this point, actually we're going to play Kelly anyway. This is a good time to go, right, we're going to leave you out, sort yourself out, we'll see. But I don't want to kind of say Jordan Zamora's out of order, because we don't know the ins and outs. So let's see. I think coming up, we've got an international break coming up as well. Let's see after that. I'm hopeful that it'll get resolved.
And we need to talk about Lloyd Kelly, because we will during the show, but I thought he had a really good game. One of many players who actually shone during that. So we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the game. I always say that phrase, mate.
You do actually.
The nuts and bolts of the game. I hate using it. Can someone give me another phrase to use? And we were all right. But they did nearly strike first.
Yes.
Had it header from Alexander-Arnold's corner, Van Dijk header, and then Lerma stretching to head off the line. Right place, right time, mate. Your man. Love that.
I'm right behind that, and it was just, it was unbelievable. He could have easily just hit his end and gone in. Like, the way he managed to get it round the post was great. And you just see from that corner the way his positional awareness, if you like.
Set piece is always a concern.
It is, and there's a later one as well that Van Dijk should do better with. And that is a concern for me, and we'll get on to, because I don't want to, obviously it's going to be a positive one for sure, we won the game.
Uplifting, come on.
There are concerns, go into it briefly, still for me over Neto. I love him, by the way, and he makes an unbelievable save in the game. I love him. I think his the way he is with a fan, he's great, and he's clearly a leader and helps out, but this set piece thing for me, and he has one in the second half where he tries to punch it. He feels like, to me, he's too much on his line. We had the goal against Ben White for Arsenal, and the Matoma header, where he's trying to get it out of the goal, and there's a few times where he's punching it, it's underneath him. He's not coming out to punch it. Does seem a bit weird, and Van Dijk's good in the air. So
I think Neto's shot stopping stats are pretty good.
Oh yeah, and he is a good shot
stopper. It's just some of the other parts where I think he's failed us slightly. I did put a tongue in cheek tweet out a couple of weeks ago about it, where people jumping on my back saying, unpopular opinion, but maybe Travers isn't as bad as Neto.
I would definitely want Neto in goal, just to put that out there 100%, and he has been good for us. There's just a few. There was one where he kicked out of play when he was put under pressure, and he just looked at it. And I'm wary that at the moment he's got away with them all, really. And I am wary there's going to be a howler soon, just because every game I feel that there's a moment, But in this game, obviously, he got away with it and made some big saves, mate. So we'll take it. But as you say, set piece still a little bit of a concern, but fine margins again, and Lerma stops that one, and we kick on from there.
Really liked our style of football in the first half. I was just I was watching the game back on BT Sport, only the first half, but I was watching it today actually just to see sort of how we were lining up, how we played, and lots of little passes into the feet of the midfielders. And there was some really good moments. There was one where Billing fired it across from the left side. He got to the byline, he fired it across. But before that, lovely little moves where Rothwell comes short and he collects it, he turns on a sixpence, and then he drives forward with it, and some really nice interchanges. And I thought having that extra man in midfield is absolutely huge for us. And at times, we were doing great in there, and it was some of that play that helped to create our first chance. In fact, it was Dom that came deep and collected the ball to set Ouattara free, where he was going through on goal, 1-on-1, just waiting for him to do something. And I said on the vlog, maybe he had the Arsenal chance in his mind and thought, okay, I need to make sure of this now. So he went round him, but alas, his touch was slightly too heavy, and then he did a typical Sam Davis. He ran out of pitch and hit it inside netting. Yeah,
it was a real frustration. Actually, people I sit around were having a bit of a laugh at me later on in the game because obviously Ouattara was superb. Because as soon as he missed that, I said, I'm not sure about this guy, you know. I did. I thought, is he just got a bit of pace and then he can't finish his dinner? But what turns out, he's a lot better than that, by the way.
He's got a decent jump as well, by the way.
Unbelievable,
he's springy.
Yeah. And he actually caused Van Dijk so many problems, couldn't cope with him, and he was brilliant, by the way. But yeah, that miss really, because I'm thinking back to the other misses he's had. And also I've had a few debates about Dom and people saying, you know, he's the one that's not looking good. If Ouattara finishes his dinner there, Dom Solanke for that move was sensational. Dropping deep, picking up the ball, swiveling and playing an inch perfect pass was fantastic. But yeah, that was a sign of things to come though, that we could get in behind. And I think we said on the preview that was going to be, it was good that we obviously thought about that, because Robbo and Trent are always going to leave gaps, and Liverpool is still trying to play that same way that's been so successful for them, of being high line, and I thought we could cause some problems there, and that was a sign of things to come, wasn't it? It was just a shame you look at it again, you go, he's probably, if he is a better touch, it looks like a really good decision to go round him. It's just so heavy, the touch.
Is he left-footed?
Yeah, I think that probably didn't help.
The way he was running meant that it was always going to be a right-footed shot, sadly. It was always going to come onto his right, and he couldn't get his body shaped to maybe caress it, Brett Pittman style against Fulham, into because that's where I'd have gone if I was him. And then he had another chance. It was ruled offside. Yeah. But that's when Van Dijk got back to it, but it wouldn't count anyway by the sounds of it. Whether it was onside or not, I don't know. They didn't draw the lines, obviously. So at that point I was thinking, oh God, he needs to sort himself out. And then he did. I couldn't really work it out, because the ball... It was a long ball, wasn't it? They started off the move, yeah.
Well, it was actually started from Neto. Obviously, I think
he bowled it out,
and he rolled it out really quickly to Smith, which was very clever. And Smithy, who for some reason always seems to be the scapegoat, which I don't want to get into, because I thought, Darwin Núñez done nothing really. He played that ball. He plays to Ouattara. It's perfect. Yeah. He just puts it in behind, and Ouattara's off from nothing. There's nothing going on in the game, and he just plays a really clever pass.
But it looks as if it kind of held up a little bit, and then Ouattara just puts on the afterburners, and he seems to glide away from Van Dijk.
Yeah, I mean, it's really weird because Van Dijk is clearly an unbelievable centre half, but every time I watch him, right, Ouattara and Solanke had him all game. Yeah. All game made him look average. And do you remember when we beat Southampton? Yeah. Benicophobe leaps above him, and Benicophobe absolutely ripped him apart. It's weird that you have. He doesn't seem to have good games here, but Ouattara done brilliantly, and then he just puts it in the right area. He doesn't really look up.
No, he doesn't. But he smashes it in. He smashes it. I think he hits it with his instep, just with power. Yeah, and that helped with the shot, really, with Phil Billing's shot, because he just almost
scuffs it. Yeah, but you just need to connect to it, really. Yeah, because
I think it came off his ankle.
Yeah, but that's 2 1-0 wins, Wolves obviously, and then Liverpool, where both goals have been similar in terms of, it was Tavernier against Wolves and runners from midfield. Yeah. And I know it's easy to say, but I didn't think we could do that as much in the other 2 games because we didn't have the licence with an extra man in midfield. Yeah. But then runners from deep is going to be so crucial, and Billing is becoming very, very good at that. Billing again, mate. It was...
What a game. Game.
Unbelievable he was.
There was this little interchange with him and Anthony, where Anthony did that little flick down the left side, and then Billing, like the power he had to get past Harvey Elliott, and then he was fouled. We won a free kick from that. I think we won a corner from the resulting free kick, but really, really good, really strong. He's really turning into a player now, and there would be times with Phil Bill where 1 in every 2 matches, so 50% of the time he'd be really good, and other times he'd be under par. Yeah. I think that percentage is going up now.
And I feel we've always known he's had quality. My fear's always been, and probably this is also goes into the fact that this is what Huddersfield fans said, is when it's going right and you're playing well, he looks quite good. But when you need him, he goes missing. And what I will say is we've needed him lately, and he's been the one that stood up and been counted, and that's the first time I've really seen that from Billing. Probably last year. I mean, he has done it for a long time now, because he done it at the back end of the Championship when we needed him to step up.
Is it concern if we don't stay up that Phil could be one of the players that's... Because, I mean, if I was another club, I'd be looking at him thinking... I love him.
It's really mad, isn't it? How quickly it changes to people thinking, is he a bit luxury? And now we're going, God, we're gonna.
I know.
If we go down, I think he goes. I think he's shown a lot of quality, and there's I don't know whether it's just rumours, but I've seen that apparently Arsenal and Arteta really like him.
Really.
But you know, for him now, he's stepping up and going. You know what? I'll help because I have always felt that the previous time when we got relegated, the COVID season, when we needed our top players to step up, he was one that I thought went missing and went hiding a little bit. And now he's kind of going, no, I'm one of the main men in this team. And I screenshot it because I thought it was interesting. But in terms of goals, he's scored more Premier League goals than Jesus, obviously been injured for a while, Mahrez and Bruno Fernandes.
Right.
He scored the same amount of Premier League goals as Havertz, Zaha, James Ward-Prowse, Son, and Mitoma.
Bloody hell.
And people like Mitoma, who rightly so, by the way, have been praised for Brighton. Ward-Prowse seems to score every bloody week. Zaha's Palace best player. Havertz is a striker who plays up front. He's only one behind like Brennan Johnson, McAllister, Callum Wilson. And for a team that up until the weekend were bottom of the league...
Bloody hell. When's he under contract until?
I'm not sure. He's not out this season. So
do you reckon we'd command a fairly decent fee?
And his age, he's still coming into his peak now. And I wonder if it is that. He was younger than we thought, and maybe now he's getting 26, 27. He's starting to...
He should be playing for Denmark, mate. I don't know how he's not.
Yeah, I think he'll start getting in there for sure, definitely. I think the problem for him is he's always kind of been known to be the same role as Christian Eriksen, which is always difficult to play both.
Difficult.
But absolutely, you know, I've been one. I think virtually every fan, maybe not you, Heather, but I think virtually every fan has had moments where they've gone, I'm not sure about Billing.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
I've certainly been one, where I've not even put him in my favourite 11 that I would play now. But, mate, he will be knocking on the door for player of the season this season for sure. He was absolutely magnificent.
Absolutely. One time where we did switch off, that we've sort of brushed past it a little bit, but they did score. They did have the ball in the back of it. It was offside. Was it Nunez that put it in?
It was offside, but they were saying even if he wasn't offside, he looked like he nudged Smith, and it might have been a foul anyway. So there was a few things, but he was, and then obviously saw it back, and he was just offside. So it's one of them, and you can kind of look at it and go, oh, they nearly got in there, or you could go, actually, the line was perfect. So it's one of them, but it was a nice little finish from Gakpo, wasn't it?
A couple of other chances for them. Mo Salah had a shot early doors that he scuffed, and it came across.
Was it Robbo that hit one that Andy Robertson, that Neto made? It was a strong hand.
Yeah, it was a really strong hand.
Because that had a lot of power. Yeah, that had a lot of power.
And then Van Dijk's header that he should have done better. He should have done better with it. It was a crossover to the far stick where he was there, and he just caressed it. He just brushed it. He didn't get anything on it hardly.
No, yeah, it was odd. And I think later on in the game, Senesi had a very similar one.
Yes, he did.
Where he just didn't connect with it. But that was my only concern. Van Dijk did get free a couple of times, as we mentioned. But I don't want to go into it too much because I do think Van Dijk is a beast and he's going to win headers. But yeah, it was a little bit of concern, and they are going to have decent delivery. But you've got to ride your luck sometimes, mate, and we got away with that one.
Dom, your hold up played brilliant, but his touch, so I'm getting a bit...
There was one there, he was nearly in.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember who crossed it, maybe Rothwell or Adams. I can't remember, but it fell really nicely to Dom. His touch was woeful, and I said it on the vlog, and I was kind of, when I was editing it, I was thinking, do I include that? Because it feels a bit negative, you know, we want this feel-good vibe. But I couldn't not talk about it because there's been a few fans that messaged me privately who've got concerns over Dom, saying he's not the complete solution that we actually think he is. And that was just like one of many moments. And there was another in the second half where he just held on to it for way too long.
Yeah, they nearly got in. Jota shot. Jota had the shot in there, that was because he lost it.
Yeah, but also when he was running through a goal in the second half, and he should have squared it, and I think in the end Van Dijk just ran into him. But
that's really tough. It is a debate which I appreciate and understand because I've had different kind of people have come to. I think I kind of went on Twitter and kind of said a little thing about every player, and I said about Don great hold up, and a few people were saying, are you joking? Don was rubbish, and then other people have come back at them and gone, no, Don was great, and it does seem to be split, and I totally get that. We've gone into the fact that if he wants to be a striker, he's got to score more goals, and that's a fact. But I'm a bit nerdy, so I watched the game back because it was on BT. And if you watch that game back,
He's the whole game back.
Yeah,
I did. That's dedication.
If you watch the whole game back, the way he gives so much to the way we function, their centre halves their whole back four was struggling to cope with him, and the way he was dropping in, they didn't know where to go. Every attack and burst we have come from Dom pulling in, dragging one of them out. Billing's getting more room because
and that helps to release Ouattara and Anthony as well.
Billing scored. I'm telling you now, if you got Phil Billing in a room, he would say, "I'm getting more goals because of Dom."
Really,
100%. He does do so much, but equally, I get that as a striker, and if he's going to be our main man, and if we want to elevate ourselves in seasons to come, he needs to maybe stay up a little bit more. But yeah, I think it's one of them again. I think there's a case to say it's similar with Lerma in a different position as well. You don't appreciate how vital he is to the way you play as a team unless they're not there. But I do get the comments of sometimes he can be frustrating, and you do think, just sometimes when he breaks, you think, just hit it. Like what? He's not. To be your main centre forward and think if a ball's cut back and you've got a player to come onto it, he wouldn't be in my top three to have the chance. And he's supposed to be our main goal threat. But yeah, it's a good debate to be had. And maybe that is why he at Liverpool, at Chelsea, didn't quite make the level.
Grade, yeah.
But at the moment, with the options we've got, he still leaps and bounds above Semenyo and Kiefer Moore, in my opinion.
So when you watch the game back on BT, you little nerd, I love that from you. But
That's what I was buzzing, mate. I was buzzing,
what did you think? Because on the vlog, we were talking about the penalty and Adam Smith with his hands in an unnatural/natural position. At the time, you were like, nah. But when you watched it back, you've changed your mind?
I just can't be arsed with it. I don't understand. I mean, Smithy says it after. I just don't get it. Like,
I don't think that's particularly unnatural.
No.
I mean, of course, if you pause it at a certain moment, it's going to look unnatural. But in the grand scheme of things, when you're lifting yourself, when you're trying to elevate yourself off the ground to actually head the ball, your arms do move into that kind of position. And I think it was up there or something like that. If you watch it on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing.
He's not looking.
No, he's not looking at it. And also, it was so close as well.
Yeah. It is a difficult one because from the other side, you go, that could go in. That's going in, maybe. So I knew at the time there's a penalty.
Well, they were crowding the ref.
I knew they were going to give a penalty. I know that looking back on it, that's going to be a penalty in this day and age.
They didn't have one though. We'll see. Well,
it was like the only two teams. But I don't like that being given as penalty. But the amount of handballs we've seen given this season and the amount we've gone against us, that was always going. We've had worse ones go. So I got why it was given. I knew it was going to be given. It is what it is. I'd be screaming for it at the other end. I'm not saying I wouldn't be. But yeah, and then I watched some of the games on Saturday. I think Southampton, he's virtually on the floor, but he stops the ball with his hand, not given. Just don't really understand it. And Smithy come out and said, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do.
Do you sometimes just think there should maybe just be a blanket rule in football, like if it hits the hand, any way, shape or form, just give a pen, and then at least we know. I
know it's difficult. I just wish common sense was used a bit more. I just really do. You're getting it. He's look at it. He's clearly not looking. He doesn't know. You can't jump like a pencil. And Smithy did say afterwards, where he said about it being a justice and stuff. He said that you're always taught as a kid that especially as a defender, you jump your arms. You use your arms. He goes, so what are you going to tell people now?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That is natural and not unnatural. Sometimes I feel as though they need an ex-footballer on the refereeing panel at Stockley Park to actually tell the refs, that's actually natural. So.
It's difficult.
But then it could have been going in. And like you say, if that happened to us, I'd be absolutely screaming for it.
Of course. I think just my main thing from a broader point of view is we've got all this technology and we look at all the stuff now, everything's still subjective. We're still having controversial decisions every single game. So what was the bloody point of just ruining the limbs in the moment and all that stuff? Who cares?
So there was limbs when we scored. There was limbs after the pen, mate. I mean, Mo Salah stepped up. I think most of us were expecting the net to ripple, but that was awful. Awful.
Shocking penalty.
It wasn't even close wide. It didn't even brush past the post. It was well wide.
I was listening to, I think it was the Football Ramble podcast, and they were talking about the games of the weekend, and they said on there, it was like when you play FIFA and you don't quite know how to do the penalties yet, and you've got that little circle and you accidentally flick it too much, and you just because as soon as he started running up and he shaped up, you thought his body shape's not. He's going to have to get a lot of bend on it. It didn't look right.
No.
All I can think was when he's stepping up for it, he's thinking of going the other way. And then he suddenly sees Neto go that way, so he quickly changes his mind.
Does Neto do a little?
He goes a little bit early, so I wonder if Salah thinks, "Oh God, I've got to go the other way," and just puts too much on it. But it was really bizarre. I did not expect, and that's one of them things, easy to say, obviously, but I thought, it's our day, innit?
Limbs, mate. And that, you know what, the celebrations from that mirrored the goal.
Yeah, it did,
honestly, because I think most of us were expecting it to go in, and that's when I really believed.
Yeah, because I think if that goes in, I think knowing now, I think we probably lose the game. There was enough time to go; it would have kicked them on. So, what a massive moment, mate! And it's weird things like that because now I'm glad the penalty was given because that helped, that lifted everyone again, didn't it? It's like another moment. So. Yeah, and I love Jack Stevens, by the way, going absolutely berserk when he missed it. What a legend he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. You were taking a look at the average positions on SofaScore, which we've got on screen. Now, we saw them, of course, in the last second look for the Arsenal game, where we didn't have a single player in the opposing half. I think when we made our subs, maybe Christie had his little toe in that half. But for Liverpool, it was slightly different.
Yeah, I think it's more... I mean, there's probably about 2.5, 3... in the opposition half, but it's more, look at that defence. Defensively, we're so much like the whole defence is 10 yards further forward.
Yeah,
the whole midfield is 10 yards further forward.
Yeah,
it's just that just shows a bit more, that bravery, that intensity is there because we won 1-0 and we scored in the first half. You'd expect us to be very we kept that press on, and that
having that extra man really did
of course, and obviously we've spoke about that. But what I'll also say is that is defensively. You look at the full Smith and Kelly. Kelly is nowhere near as more attacking as Jordan Zamora, but his average position was higher because we were trying to get up the pitch as a unit, and that's clearly, when we criticise, we've got to give praise as well, and that was clearly an instruction because the whole team is further up the pitch, and it just felt like we were a little bit more confident to get higher up, and I think because they missed the chances, because we got the first goal, we almost believed in it more, and the management of the game was we never at any point did I think we were going back and back and back. We kept that up, and the substitutions were. There was one moment where he nearly brought Mepham on, and he sat him back down for whatever reason. He sat him back down, and I think, to his credit, saw the way the game was going and going, we don't need to just soak this up now. No. I know it's easy to bring on an extra centre half and think they're going to have all the ball, but they're not hurting us. Just keep the press on.
Liverpool really, I wouldn't say disappointed me because I'm well happy with the win, but they were awful. I thought they really weren't that. Sort of contrast their performance with, say, Man City at home the other week, where we'd have no space, we'd be suffocated any time we had the ball. Like any time that Jack Stevens had the ball, they'd have 2-3 men on him straight away. Whereas they gave us a lot of time on the ball.
They did, yeah. And I think I said at the top of the show that the midfield, I think our midfield three is better than their midfield three, which is mental. They're Liverpool. Fabinho's a good holding midfield player, don't get me wrong. Harvey Elliott, I was surprised he came off at half time because I thought he was trying to make something happen, but he's not quite there yet. Brzetic's still a young player. But we bossed it, and I thought all three, they had 3 players in midfield that all got the ball and passed it sideways, and it was so comfortable for us to get into our shape, to nick it off them.
So weird.
And there was nothing penetrative. Oh, blimmin' heck.
Penetrative.
That's the one. Yeah. I'm not even going to try it again. But yeah, there was nothing about them that was doing that, so we were comfortable in their areas. But yeah, I thought they're not the same Liverpool, of course, but they're so passive. They used to be so gung-ho.
And they used to be intense as well, and used to drive the ball forward, like passes forward, pass and move.
Yeah.
There was none of that.
No.
It was completely different to the Man United game. I don't know what the mentality shift.
No, it was weird. They really struggled. And I felt they probably had a little bit more when Jota come on. And I think Jota will be big for him now he's getting fit, because he has only just come back.
Yeah, they did improve.
I thought, I get why you keep Salah on the pitch, because he's got a moment of magic. He was absolutely appalling. I couldn't believe that Nunes come off instead of him, and like I said, that's probably the reason, because he's got a moment. I thought he was awful. He didn't do anything. Lloyd Kelly absolutely pocketed him.
Well, that's where I wanted to talk about Lloyd Kelly, because I think we need to. I thought he was excellent, and there was a tweet from Jack Tanner that I probably took exception to. I think you did actually by replying to it, but there was a moment where we had a corner, and then they cleared it, and it found its way back to the ball found its way back to Lloyd Kelly, who was in the centre circle, and he didn't have many options in front of him, but he went back to Neto, and I think Jack put about groans and boos and stuff from the Bournemouth fans, as if it was targeting him. But I genuinely believe that, yes, there were groans, but it wouldn't matter who it was. No. I think it was Jack Stevens. Yeah. It's the fact that 5 seconds ago, we were as far down the pitch as we could possibly be. The ball was on the byline. We were taking a corner, and then 5 seconds later, it's with Neto. Yeah. I don't think that was targeting Lloyd Kelly at all.
Not at all.
In my opinion.
No, not at all. I think there was definitely. I think Jack did say to me, "Yeah, you're probably right with the wording," because there wasn't any boos. It was groans on it. Like that kind of, when the ball goes back to a keeper, everyone's at it. Everyone goes, "Ugh," and I did it. because in the moment I thought they've cleared it. It felt like to me Lloyd Kelly is on his own, and all he's got to do is turn around and put it back up there. And a few people were saying to me, "Oh no, some people were saying it was the right thing to do." And when I watched the game back, actually kind of get it. When you watch it back, everyone up there is they're offside. They're kind of coming out.
And would you really want to just punt it right back into the mix? And if, that would be a prime time for Liverpool to break.
Yes.
You might as well just recycle, rebuild.
Yeah, so it probably wasn't actually as bad as a decision making as I thought in the moment, because I thought, what is he doing? But I 100% agree, mate. I think that wouldn't have made any difference who the player was at all, and I don't think it was as bad as made out. It wasn't horrific groaning. It was just your standard when you go back, and it was just because of the moment in the game, and we just had a corner, etc. But yeah, apart from that tiny little moment, I thought he was flawless, absolutely flawless. And it's easy to say now, but has he ever played bad at left full back in a 4? He's always quite solid there. And I think I mentioned earlier about Smith. I always feel like Smith don't get enough credit. Jayden Anthony and Ouattara were unbelievable all game. I always think if your winger in a 4 in a system we played is that good, your fullback must have had a good game. They must have had a good game.
Yeah, because they're giving him the licence.
Smithy and Kelly allowed them to go and really press the fullbacks, because they were fine. Neither of them, were making silly decisions. They were comfortable, and there was 2 really good partnerships on either side. If you were Liverpool, you wouldn't have known that them partnerships had barely ever occurred. So yeah, I was impressed with both fullbacks. But Lloyd Kelly, considering all the stuff that's happened and the injuries, brilliant.
Yeah, there's not many players you can really sort of say had a poor game. I think most players were pretty good. One of the players that I really enjoyed watching was Jayden Anthony. Lovely bit of skill in the second half. I think he put it on his own Instagram where he dragged it back and then he went on a run. And I think Ouattara has still got room to improve as well. I mean, but you can see there from the heat maps how Jayden Anthony and Ouattara, they're absolutely integral to the way we played, utilising that that width there, which is helped by having the 3 in the middle in midfield to give them that licence as well. Who's your man of the match?
I love it when it's really tough, because you can name so many.
Who was the sponsor? I can't remember who the sponsors were.
And on the telly it was, and I think the same as was Ouattara.
It was,
But on Bournemouth Twitter, Senesi edged it by 2% or something. But you could easily argue Lloyd Kelly, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, well, according to who scored, it's Ouattara, 8.3. Overall, we scored better as a team, 6.81 versus Liverpool 6.36, which rarely happens. But Ouattara, I can see why.
Yeah, and I think just going into Ouattara and Anthony, I think we've got to remember their ages, and they're both going to be raw. And I think in both of them, the areas they get into, I know Ouattara is a very small sample, because of the amount of games he's played, but both of them, you think, for how good they are, should be scoring goals every week.
Yeah,
that's going to come in time, and we've got 2 players Ouattara is very young, but really impressive game from him. I think when you keep a clean sheet, I always edge to, even though we defended from the front so well, Ouattara and Andy, I would have probably edged for Senesi. By the way, let's mention Senesi, because is he the best left side centre back we've had since Nathan Ake?
He's brilliant. I love him.
I think the whole time we thought, he's a player there, but I think the last few, considering the opposition,
he's really.
There was times where.
It was his first game. Was it like Chelsea? No, I can't remember. No, it wouldn't have been. It was in.
I think it might have been the City away game, maybe.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
or Arsenal at home, because it was just before Parker went. But what I like with that combination is Jack Stevens is very much your standard centre half who will win every header, will get the ball and get rid of it, and blah blah blah. So let's say there's times where he wins it, and then you think, right, get out, and he's just calm, chest it down, does a bit of skill, runs in the midfield. There's times doing keepy up.
Mate, he's doing keepy up. He's in their penalty box, created that chance for Dom where he blazed it. But,
and I'm starting to see what the final was saying. You've got someone special here. He's been in Argentina squads before, and that's no mud. But he's got so many attributes to his game, and I absolutely loved him. I thought I'm really, really starting to enjoy. I enjoy watching him as a centre half,
and that partnership's really flourishing with Jack Stevens.
It is.
It's a really good partnership.
And you think Mepham's had an unbelievable season.
How is Chris Mepham?
We've signed Zabarnyi, who's supposed to be like the next big thing. I don't know how he gets in. I mean, absolutely brilliant. But if the last thing Scott Parker done was get Senesi in, happy days, mate.
Happy days. And looking at the chronological timeline graphic, this highlights where all the substitutions were. You see that for Liverpool bringing on Milner, Henderson, Firmino, and you've probably seen on the vlog that myself and Andy were joking that they're bringing on the old guard. Thought Peter Beardsley was going to come on at some point, Robbie Fowler, etc. But look at our substitutions though. So it was Christie for Billing, which I understood. Fredericks for Smith. I thought all of the substitutions, like all of them, were good.
Yeah.
We need to pay tribute to Gary O'Neill.
Absolutely, they're all pretty much like for like. I think
Yeah.
the Vini one at the end, obviously he's more of a full-back, but it was just to give us the legs on the left-hand side.
Hell of a run, by the way.
Yeah, blimey, yeah. That was incredible.
I thought it was going to go all the way. I was like, are you going to drive into the corner or are you going to take it towards goal?
But yeah, he looked like he was going to go to the corner and then he tried to hook back, didn't he? But things like that little moment, Anthony wouldn't have been able to do that because he was dead on his feet. So just bringing a bit of energy to it. But the Christie for Billing one, it surprised me because Billing was playing well, but I think he just fought energy. And Ryan Christie was brilliant when he came on.
He what, mate? That like he nearly pirouetted and then scored.
He just gave us so much more legs in there. I don't think he wanted to take Lerma off, but obviously he's been injured, and you just got to look at them options that you can bring on. I think Smith actually was an injury because he did allude to that at the end of the game, and Fredericks brings that experience, and he's naturally on that right side. But they were good, mate, and they were in good times of the game, and they were. I think it was one of them. If they had scored a late goal, no one would have been saying it was because of the subs. Put it that way. They were decent subs. Yeah.
And even Semenyo had a chance, didn't he, where he flashed it across goal?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he always looks quite lively, and It does. He does remind me a little bit of when Lowe come off the bench, but probably with a little bit more quality at times. So and that was just for legs and energy, and would have been easy to just chuck Kiefer Moore on for Dom and go a bit of height for set pieces, but he wanted to keep that press, which was working so well. So
is there a reason why we should ever go 5 at the back for any other games this season? I think like maybe Spurs away, maybe. I can't think of any other game why we would do that.
No, it is a difficult one. It's not as simple as 5 at the back, lose your games and 4 doesn't. Of course it isn't. But the players we've got, I don't think it suits us at this moment. So hopefully we'll be against that. I kind of I get in game sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, if you've got Kelly as a fullback, that in game there might be moments where you think, actually, 10 minutes to half time, the way this game's going, Kelly, can you just tuck in a little bit? And players are free for a bit. But I don't think we need to start with 3 out and out centre halves. No. Definitely not. If Lerma wants to drop back in now and again, I get it and have that fluidity. But I'd be surprised if we look at that again. Really, if we do look at it again, it means things aren't going well, and we've had to change something. So we certainly won't be doing it at Villa. I'll be surprised.
So looking at the other games over the weekend, it wasn't good in terms of Everton. We wanted Brentford to get something, but Everton won 1-0 at Goodison Park. Leeds drew 2-2 with Brighton. Leicester went down.
Won that.
I know they should have. They really should have. Leicester went down 3-1 at home to Chelsea. Spurs beat Forest 3-1. Forest came back into that, but too little too late from them. Crystal Palace lost at home to Man City. And then on the Sunday, we know that Newcastle won 2-1 against Wolves, but West Ham, they got a draw against Villa. Man United, Southampton, 0-0. Man United down to 10 men. Saints managing to grab a point. And then Arsenal march on. So all of that meant that we dropped into the relegation zone, and now people are starting to produce these little graphics and charts in terms of the run-in. And Tom, we're just looking at this run-in here, and you can see that the teams in green are those in and around us. So you've got the how many teams is that there? 9 teams. So this is where we all play each other. We've got to play Leicester, West Ham, Saints, Leeds, Palace, Everton. Quite a few. You could say that maybe Palace have got more of a favourable run-in, really, and they're not that far away. But the Bournemouth's run-in, it's not that bad, is it, really, when you look at it?
No, it's certainly a lot better than Southampton's, for example, and Everton's. But I think we just got to be a little bit careful. It's kind of, it goes back to my point of before the Liverpool game, going, let's not look at this as just because it's Liverpool. We can beat them at home.
You play the team, not the name.
Yeah, exactly, because a lot of people are going, we've got them 3 games in a row against West Ham, Southampton and Leeds, so we'll win a few of them. We lost to all 3 of them, so let's be careful. But I do think, obviously, I'd rather them fixtures than not. And I think that's why you kind of said earlier in terms of predictors that we're expected to maybe potentially stay up now, and that's because we've got rid of a lot of the top ones and we've got decent fixtures. And we've got what you got to remember is that we've been dangerous on the break lately, and particularly against Liverpool. It's going to be harder to break against these sort of teams because they're not going to. They're not going to play as that high line from Liverpool and Ouattara getting in every time is not going to happen. So it's not going to happen at Villa.
But then we ground out a win against Wolves.
Exactly. So, but we've got
we're learning.
But I do believe a lot of these teams, if we go toe to toe for them and go right, who's the better team, we can have a lot of these teams. I really do believe that. with the players we've got now. And you've got to remember, we've sung the praises of our two wide men in this game. I'd argue that our best two wide men are maybe Tavernier and Traore, and neither are fit. Do you know what I mean? So we've got options now. That's what's good. Is you're looking at that. I said to you before we come on, didn't I? We're able to make 5 subs now because we've got a blooming good subs bench. So yeah, and there's a few. What I like is teams that everyone said, they're safe, and they may well be, but Palace, Forest, Leicester, they're not. Keep as much in there as you can. But yeah, we've got a few weeks coming up that we hopefully can pick up some points, mate. Big 4.
Yeah, so the next 4 fixtures for Bournemouth: Villa, Fulham, Brighton, Leicester. And we put out a tweet on Sunday saying, how many points do you see us getting from it? And you can see there on screen a number of people who are replying, including Paul Kenwood. He wants 12. His head says 5. Livy's going for an optimistic 10. We've got a 7 there. Sammy Nell's going for 8 there. Heather's also having her say as well. Now, whilst these are browsing through on the screen, I think 7 seems to be quite a popular number there. From those 3?
It's mad. One win and everyone's going, 7, 10.
From those 4 games,
I don't want to sound obvious, but I literally go, it wouldn't shock me if we got 12, but it wouldn't shock me if we got 0. Okay. Because, do you know what I mean? We don't know what we've been, and the season's been like that. I'm trying to think I think my main, as long as we don't lose, I don't want to lose the Leicester game.
No.
So, because of the fact that I think they're in it a little bit, or we'll keep them in it. The other 3 aren't. So, I would say 6 or 7 is probably what my head's saying, but I don't want that one defeat to be Leicester. Do you know what I'm saying? I think Villa, point. I think we can get a point there. I think we can beat Fulham at home because I think they're on the beach a little bit. Yeah. Brighton are on the beach, but I think they're too good.
I've seen that Marco Silva's been linked with the Spurs job. Is he? Well, not that job is there yet, but if Antonio Conte goes, you never know.
I'm going to go. If I want to be a little bit more realistic and not be too positive, then I'll go draw at Villa, beat Fulham, lose to Brighton, draw at Leicester. So that would be 5.
Yeah.
But that Leicester one, we could get a win. But yeah, I mean, who knows? We can win all them games in isolation. We can lose them all. They're all really difficult games. They're all games that you would think most would say that's quite a tight game to call. All 4 of them. So yeah, we'll see. But certainly feel more positive now after the weekend, mate.
Richard Jackson says, or in Tom's case, how many pints? By the way, I had to include that on the vlog. I could see from where I was in the very back of the Ted McDougall stand, and I was looking up, I was thinking, hang on a sec, there he is. And bang on 38. Bang on 38. Who needs Gordon? Who needs the Greenwich Pips when you can set your watch by Tom Jordan? But yeah, it was a good day all round, and I'll tell you what, it changes your weekend, doesn't it?
Oh, big time.
It absolutely changes the weekend when you get 3 points.
Oh, big time. I mean, I don't normally watch the game back and stuff like that. I was just absolutely buzzing, and then doing this, I'm thinking, oh yeah, we could talk about the game. It was great because we haven't had too many. But just in general, you mentioned about the Brooksy situation, being at home, being on telly, and the fact that it just felt like a good place to watch football again because it's been tough and it's been not overly toxic, but it's had its moments this season. And I just love that everyone was in good spirits, and after the game everyone's bouncing, and really pleased for Gaz as well. That there wasn't kind of any underlying bits because it was just a good performance. The decisions were good. Everyone was happy with everything that happened. It was great, and hopefully we can kick on.
I don't understand Twitter because there are some people that are kind of revelling in this. I told you so. About Gary O'Neill when we've still got a long time to go, and jury's still out, and we've always said that we think the decision was questionable. To employ him, we obviously want him to succeed. Absolutely. And I think only a month ago I said, with us playing like we are, we're going to get relegated, and I'm happy for people to mean that up if it makes them feel better at the end of the season if we don't. However, I don't know. I just feel as though now. We seem to be now clicking a little bit, but the proof is in the pudding over an extended period. But I have to say that over the last few games, it's not just the rest. Like even the Arsenal performance. Obviously, that was really disappointing. But to go 2-0 up there, it was a defensive masterclass at times. But they are just so good. They just ripped Fulham a new one 3-0. Yeah. And we were 2-0 up at their own place with about 25 minutes to go. So I think I could take a lot of solace from that performance, actually. Absolutely. And now, following it up with a win against Liverpool, honestly, it's making me feel
Yeah.
Starting to be glass half full now about the season.
I know what you mean. I think a lot of people that were kind of maybe a little bit more positive about Gary and our chance of staying up were saying a lot of the points were, let's see when everyone's back and we got the new signings in. Okay. And I think we all kind of said, I didn't particularly agree with the decision to make it permanent. And I thought, right, we've spent let's be real here. I mean, he's been very fortunate. His first ever job as a manager, he's been given over 50 million quid to spend in a Premier League side. And it was kind of all been, let's see if that deadline day and that transfer window, let's see if that's enough to get us over the line. And I'm still I'm not convinced of yet. I still think it's going to be very, very difficult. It's probably going to go to the wire. But what I will say is that these new additions are helping. Getting players back is helping. O'Neill for sure. And little bits seem a little bit better. But there's still concerns over certain things. And I still think, come the end of the season, I've never wanted to be wrong so much in my life because I just want to stay up.
Of course, we want to be wrong.
But I still think I'll say I still felt I had every reason to kind of doubt the decision. He'd never been a manager. You've got to look at Everton look very good as well, by the way. Do you know what I mean? And I think I felt we could have gone down that route, but I wanted to succeed so badly, mate. It's football, isn't it? I think there's loads of people, we mentioned it earlier, taking it away from a manager and going to a player that probably went, I don't want Billing here, and Billing is a luxury player, and now Billing is the best thing we've ever seen. So that's football, and that is
Dom Solanke. We've had it all.
Exactly. Exactly. When we didn't quite get up to the Championship, we need a better striker. Then he scores nearly 30 goals.
Yeah, people like to meme stuff up and they quote things that people said, but football is a fluid opinion. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to be stubborn with it. So if you praised Gary O'Neill originally and said and you want to stick with him, absolutely fair play to you. But people can change their minds, and look. Maybe some performances in the next 4 get 5-6 points. I'll be well happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I haven't changed my mind because we beat Liverpool, but I do think it's looking better, and that's all I want. It's looking really good. And I've always said, I think we both always said, what I will say is, despite not being convinced by the appointment, I've never felt the players haven't wanted to play for him, and I'll always give him that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. They seem to be
I've never felt
invested.
I've never felt that the lads don't want it. I just don't think we've been good enough or set up in a way to win games. But I've always felt that the players have been happy with the appointment, which goes a certain way. But yeah, it is what it is, mate. I think I done it in one game. I first 20 minutes I went, is that Ouattara any good? By the end of the game, I'm done. So that's football. That's why we love it, mate. But it's just nice to have a bit of positivity.
Did you enjoy watching it from a redressed Dean Court with a lick of paint and flags everywhere and stuff? I mean, you said you was going to take pictures of the concourse, did you?
And I forgot.
Damn it. But on the outside, it looked really good, and also I gather in the North Stand and stuff that it's been refurbished and it sort of feels more like home rather than the kind of white breeze blocks. It's now red and black and stuff.
Yes, it's little bits, and I'm sure more and more will be done. But it's them little things of kind of let's everyone realise we've got a Premier League football club in Bournemouth, because a lot of the time you get off a train at Folkestone, you walk to the you wouldn't have a clue there's a football stadium. No, you wouldn't. You walk
through Boscombe, wouldn't have any idea there's a football club, a Premier League football club just down the road.
So little bits like that is really great. So yeah, hopefully that'll keep going, because stuff off the pitch seems to be happening, mate. So and when you back it up with a good win at home, it's lovely stuff. So a little bit more positivity now. I do think we need to stay calm, because all it will take is losing 3-0 to Villa and everyone goes we got to be careful. There's going to be bumps. There's going to be times of the season where we go, I don't think we're good enough, and there's going to be times of the season where we're absolutely buzzing. I think we're going to have back-to-back wins. We're probably going to have back-to-back defeats.
We don't look like a side that's going to concede a hatful though, so I think we're always going to be in games, which is good. So fingers crossed we can put in a performance against Villa. If you're going to Villa, put a thumbs up in the comments, but also like this video as well. We would truly appreciate it if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening via the audio pod, we'd appreciate a review on your podcast app. Just do that, give us 5 stars or whatever you think. It'll be 5 stars, right? I hope so. Make sure it's 5 stars. Tom, it's always a pleasure to chat Cherries with you.
Yes, well, I would like to say the same, but particularly today. Always a pleasure, mate. Yeah, nice to talk about a win for once.
Yeah, and we'll see you later on in the week, no doubt. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Up the Cherries.
Bye.